Welcome back.
The Game to Love boys are back.
We're here.
And I'm still alive, so that's good.
He's still alive. And hopefully I'm not getting it.
Well, I think you are by the sound of you, mate.
Oh, maybe a little bit.
It's going round for sure.
Just sniff. I think it was just culminating from the weekend's drinks, I think.
But anyway, about the tennis. We've had a few different ATP events ending. We've had some new winners.
Yeah.
We've had some older winners. We've had
some resurgence of some young players, which is great to see.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of tennis really been played. So we'll get to that later on. I think where we're going to start today is going to be, it's a bit of a debate really, isn't it? At the moment, we feel like Djokovic is the guy. Like, there's a lot of talk about Djokovic. In our comments, everyone's always Gotovic. They're slamming Federer and Nadal.
Well, the Federer and Nadal fans are very quiet right now.
They're very quiet.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see. Well, it's probably because Djokovic just won a slam.
Yeah, and that's a factor.
I think it will be interesting to see whoever wins the French, to see if those Djokovic fans are still...
Well, he might win it, mate.
Well, if
he wins that again.
I don't put it past him this year.
But no, yeah, so Djokovic, I feel like we've got to talk about him. The fans want to know about Djokovic. They're always talking about Djokovic, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a little bit about Djokovic.
Well, something that I was going to say to you, which I thought might be a possibility this year. Djokovic, currently undefeated in 2020. I think he
what's he played in 2020? He's just played the Australian Open?
No, he had...
Oh, yeah, he had the ATP Cup.
He had some ATP Cup before then, with some very tough opponents before then.
Yeah, that's true.
Will he go this year undefeated?
It's just, I don't know. You've got to be honest. In tennis, like, anything's possible. And for me, like, he's never going to go undefeated. Like, I'm quite confident in the fact that he's not going to go undefeated the whole year.
What do you think, because of injury?
How often does that even happen? Like, I don't even know the statistics. I don't think it's ever happened, right?
I doubt it.
Players must... I feel like maybe someone has.
Would you give him the GOAT title if he went undefeated in a whole year?
A whole calendar year?
Yeah, that would be impressive.
Yeah, that would be. But it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Like, for a start, he's going to have to play... he's going to be entering Roland Garros. I don't fancy him to win that. I fancy Team to be able to... Team come so close on hard, and arguably you'd say Djokovic, that hard is his surface more than anything.
Yeah, I think everybody thinks, from reading the comments, a lot of people saying Team is going to go one better this year at the French.
I think Team's got a really good shot of the French, so we'll see how it goes. Obviously, Rafa Nadal is the favourite. We'll see how it's like his place, mate. Like, it's his training camp for him.
Will it be 13 unlucky for some? Will he be able to even get that 13th title?
That's the point. Nah, I don't know. I don't want to rule Djokovic out, but I feel like even just to be able to come to win that Roland Garros is going to be very tricky for him. So for me, like, and then obviously you've got loads of other clay tournaments coming up. Not that he's not great on clay, but I just see other people beating him. So to say he's going to go unbeaten, for me, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, speaking of...
I'm pretty certain. Do you agree that it's not going to happen?
He's
not going to go unbeaten. That's just like...
I think if anyone's
even the most hardcore Djokovic fans in the comments, I'm pretty sure they don't even think that he's going to go unbeaten.
Out of the top three, he has the ability more than Federer and Nadal to stay unbeaten. It would be interesting to see what their longest unbeaten streaks have been.
Yeah, we'll have to look at them. We'll pull up some stats maybe now about like different unbeaten runs. We're not too sure ourselves, to be fair. But like... For me, I just think for any player to be able to do that, it's just something that doesn't happen very often, and it's like I don't think it's ever going to happen, because there's always going to be like a game where you get a bit unlucky, and the other players are in top form, and it's always going to happen where you have a bit of a rough patch and lose a few matches.
Well, I've just brought up some stats. Says the longest winning streak. Well, not up to date, these ones, but I'm guessing they haven't been beaten since 2018. Says that Guillermo Vilas is the longest unbeaten streak with 46 wins in a row.
Who's it?
Djokovic, 43.
He went 43.
Unbeaten.
In what year was that?
That was in 2010, 2011.
Did he go the whole year?
I don't think it's the whole year. 43 matches is not a year.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. So
Federer 41, Nadal 32. He's down there, so probably a bit more beatable.
Yeah,
I think, but that's because he's just the king of clay. I think when he comes off of it. a little bit more beatable on the other surfaces.
Like you say, you can see from there, like it's not straightforward to be able to win successively on hard. I remember that season actually, 2010, 2011, Djokovic, and he was on fire.
Yeah.
And there was people like saying that he's not going to lose. People could not see the next time he was going to lose a game. Like the form he was in.
I just feel he's so driven this year. I just get this.
You're saying you get a vibe that he could replicate. What's that? 40? How many did he do?
43. I reckon he could beat that.
And what's he on at the moment?
14.
He's on 14.
14's not bad.
So 14's a good run.
It's a good start to the year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a good question to ask. Will Djokovic go unbeaten? I just don't think it's possible.
Will he take that? Will he have to take all 4 slams?
We're in February, right?
Yeah.
So like, you'd think he's now going to get to the end of February. I don't think he's going to be playing anymore in February, right? Maybe. No, he's not playing. I don't think so anyway.
Strange to see that he doesn't really take on any of these ATP events.
No, but
the top 3 don't.
Nah, they haven't been really so much. I remember, I think Fed usually, every now and then he used to do Rotterdam. Yeah. He's not been doing that of late. I guess his injury as well. He's trying to reserve himself for Roland Garros. But you do see that quite a lot now. That sort of trend. You see, like with Stan as well. Yeah, they're not really entering these ATP tournaments.
But it does open up the doors so that we get to see some other players who, well, some have been playing incredibly. If you've seen another win this week, two ATP titles in 2 weeks for Gael Monfils.
Yeah, Monfils. Wow,
what an incredible achievement that is.
And it's good to see from him because over the years he's sort of always been dubbed as like the flashy sort of player. Like he's always got them sort of trick shots. And sometimes to the detriment of him winning matches.
Yeah,
I've seen before that the fact that he's lost certain matches because he's picked the wrong shots. He's trying to play too much to the crowd. And at the end of the day, like if you want to win titles, you need to sort of prioritise winning titles rather than that flashy side. Don't get me wrong, I love to watch it, but it's a case of like I feel like now he's got to the level where he's sort of matured and he's able to integrate his because him around the court is he's the fastest player around the court. No one can compete with him getting from one side to the other.
I didn't even realise how quick he was until I watched the final against Felix. Oja Eliasami.
Yeah, it's a good pronunciation.
Yeah, I heard it on the TV. I was like, we've been saying that wrong. But I noticed he was standing behind the baseline for rallies 2 meters behind the baseline. He was nearly on the boards at the back.
Yeah.
And when there's a drop shot, you see him accelerate to the net.
It's crazy.
And still get there. I was
Some of what I found more shocking is the fact that when the opponent has like a smash, like once from the other side, you see him sprinting and he's got his hand up in the air, like does some mad jump. And he gets his racket on it more or less every time.
Did you see
it doesn't always get over, come on, because it's ridiculous. But to even get into the discussion where he's hitting the ball, I find just phenomenal.
Did you see that he did the same thing? He was trying to get to one that Felix
and he got on the barrier. He got on the
stood up on the barrier. Yeah. He's a bit of a showman, but
he's an athlete, mate. He's an athlete.
Gotta love his tennis.
And I love the fact that he's now done that back to back.
Yeah.
And I've got a little stat for you talking about this. So there's a few stats actually, but I thought something that really fascinated me. So we've just had the end of St. Petersburg as well, the women's in Russia. And did you see the winner of that?
The winner of St. Petersburg was that Kiki Bertens.
Kiki Bertens, yeah. And this year we had the end of the one what Monfils just won. What's it called?
The last one?
Yeah.
The Sud de France, the Marseille one.
The one he just beat Felix in.
Rotterdam.
That's Rotterdam, isn't it?
Yeah. And
you just seen Rotterdam. He's just won that, right?
Yes.
So 2020, you've had Kiki Bertens win it and Monfils. Do you know in 2019, Kiki Bertens, Monfils, the same 2 events?
Seems that they love it there, doesn't it?
That's what I'm saying. How crazy is that?
Well, they obviously are good at that. They've obviously got... There's something about that court or that place which...
that doesn't happen often, and it's just like interesting. Like, I'm going to have a look at one of the next ATP tournaments, see who won it last year, and I'm going to put a bet on them if they're still in there. You just know it's not going to happen, but we'll see. But I thought that was quite interesting, right?
That's quite interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not often that happens. I thought it was quite interesting. If we look at the ATP Rotterdam, I thought it was really good to see the resurgence of some young players who sort of started 2020 off in really poor form, which was Yannick Sinner and Felix as well. Like Sinner, he came back to form. Saw him like destroyed Goffin. I thought that was just.
Oh, Felix. Are you talking about Felix?
No.
Monfils.
No, Sinner.
Oh, Sinner. Yeah.
Sinner. Yeah. He totally like destroyed Goffin, which is no mean feat.
Yeah, no, Sinner's got it. We've always been talking about Yannick Sinner, but it's nice to see that there was a few good performances from young players this tournament.
That's what
I think Kecmanovic had a nice win as well.
Yeah, he
later went off. But there was a few notable young people coming through and winning. So.
Kecmanovic was in New York, though. But yeah.
Oh right, in New York. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, in Rotterdam. Yeah, it was good to see. Felix was.
Well, Felix is the obvious one.
He's the obvious one. Well, that's his 4th ATP final now. Not managed to grab one yet, but he's only 21.
I was just going to say that
20?
because
or is he 20?
No, Felix.
Yeah,
he's a teenager.
Or is he 19? Sorry,
or 18 even. I think.
No, I think he's 19.
19, but it's funny you say that actually because I was looking at statistics at the weekend.
Yeah.
About players before they've reached their 20s, so in their teens.
Yeah.
So he's gone 0-4. Monfils, by the time before he reached his 20s, he played in 4 finals as well and only won 1 of them. But some of the ones what really blew me away was Nadal, before he reached his 20s.
Yeah.
So in his teenage years, I think he reached 21 finals, which is ridiculous. He's like no one can get close to him.
The Djokovic fans
is
loving this stat right now.
Djokovic is on like 10 or 9. Don't quote me. I'll get the full statistics up, but he's on like it's about half of Nadal. He had a very impressive winning record, but he won 18 out of the 21 or something crazy. I think or 16 out of 18. He won ridiculous amount out of these early years, and that's something goes unrecognised. I feel we were going to revisit the goat chat, but it's very important to recognise the fact that Nadal, when he burst through on another level. He was winning so many events, and the way he was playing at such a young age was just remarkable. Like, it's never happened in the sport of tennis.
Yeah.
It's just something to note. Djokovic had a similar impression. He was like 4th or 5th on the list.
Similar to like a Boris Becker, I'd say, because what did he take Wimbledon when he was 17? Boris Becker.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Boris Becker was on the list, but I was just focusing on more Felix and Monfils, to be fair. But just Nadal's name just screamed out at me because I saw it at the top. I was very impressed.
I was really looking forward to the Felix Monfils match because I just saw them from the earlier rounds, and their games are so similar.
It's just so exciting as well.
It's like Monfils is just like a little bit the old guard now.
I don't know if they're that similar though, because for me I feel Monfils is more rounded player. He's clearly more rounded.
But I mean the speed, the power, just the way that they sort of move around the court.
Yeah.
He's like
they're both very flexible, quick, sort of athletic
younger
players.
Version. I think he's got someone. If he was going to model his game on someone, that would be someone ideal to model your game on.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And I thought the main things that he lost the match were due to was just Monfils' consistency. He was getting, like you say, running around the back of the court, like he gets everything back and he's making you play like another shot all the time.
For me, it was Felix's lack of. He had too many unforced errors on his forehand. His forehand strike is his main shot, so he's very powerful in his forehand.
That's why I think he was hitting so many errors, is because he was being forced to hit the lines.
Oh, no doubt.
When he was going for the lines, he was missing a few. And
that will come with experience.
So the stats show Felix had 32 unforced errors to Monfils' 14 in the match. So over double.
Yeah.
And that's what
you need to cut out, especially in the main sort of stage like that.
But 19, still got so many years left and doing so well at such a young age.
Felix is a great player, but in the discussion of like other young players, obviously he's extremely young. But do you think he's able to sort of get to the level of other young players who play at a high level? So the likes of Tsitsipas, Medvedev, Zverev, Rublev.
Yeah.
That bracket of player team was a bit older now.
I think he can.
You think he can?
Yeah, I think so. Like based upon that tournament and the flashes of brilliance that he shows, I think he just needs to control certain other parts of his game, and he can get there. But it's just whether he makes that next step, whether it takes better coaching, whether it just takes more focus from him.
Me personally, I'm going to be a bit controversial.
Ooh.
I don't think he's going to.
Oh.
I don't think he's able to. I don't think he's going to get to that level. I hate to say it. He's showing all the promising signs. He's one of the youngest players to be able to do what he can do.
It's another one of your favourites you're slagging off in the final again.
No, the reason I'm talking about another level, like the ones I've just mentioned, 4 or 5 names. The reason I don't think that is because, based off right now, based off what I've seen so far, obviously this can easily change. Like, all he needs is so young. Like, maybe in 2 years he can progress to another level where I'll be holding him in a different discussion.
Possible.
But like, I just feel like he's got an incredible serve. He's got a brilliant forehand.
Yes.
Backhand's, it's okay, gets it back. But I just feel like, as a tennis player, his overall game and his ability to be able to do sort of, I don't know, because he has the spectacular shots. I don't know how to word this. I want to word this in the right way. I just don't have a wow factor when I watch him like I would do with the others. I'm not sure if he's going to have that sort of... Mentally, I think he's really strong. For such a young guy to be able to do what he's doing is incredible. Yeah. And I don't... His age to be losing 4 finals, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's very tricky to be able to manoeuvre yourself in a final to win. He needs to gain a lot, because I don't see at the moment the way he is. I just don't see him being in that category. I feel like he could maybe he could be a guy who showed all the promise. A bit like Coric, Borna Coric.
Coric, yeah.
I get a lot of similar sort of similarities between him and Felix.
Interesting. In
terms of they're both very good servers, both very good forehand. Yeah. Very similar sort of style of play.
But he's not. Yeah, I know what you mean. He's not really.
But I just don't see him ever get into a level where
the next level.
Yeah, but I'd love it to be wrong, because Felix is, in his interviews as well, I think he comes across so mature. I think such a nice guy.
The crowd really warmed to him as well, and everybody really wants him to do well.
No, he's a real gentleman. Like, he's a nice guy. Like, it'll be good to see him do well. But I just don't see it from an analytical perspective. I just don't see him reaching that next level.
I've got an interesting...
It'd be interesting to see what you guys think, actually.
And what do you think? Do you think Felix is going to make the breakthrough?
In fact, I'm going to use a little poll feature on this one. So we're going to put a little poll out here. Make sure you vote. Do you think Felix is going to be able to make that next level and be considered in the sort of likes of Tsitsipas, Zverev, that sort of group, Medvedev? Or do you feel like he could falter and be more like the Borna Coric? I don't want to put no disrespect on Coric. I think he's won a few bits. He's obviously a quality player. But he's never been in that discussion where you feel like he's going to be winning Grand Slams. Whereas the other ones, you feel like they've got the chance to. So yeah, vote and see what you say. You might probably think I'm crazy.
It's interesting you say about Felix. I wanted to bring up somebody else. Well, obviously, another young player we just discussed, Rublev. He obviously has the ability to win these ATP events. We've seen he's won 2 already this year. But something that I've found quite evident from his exit to Australian Open and in this ATP Rotterdam event, he comes up against somebody who is a powerful, like, they're normally bigger in stature and harder hitting player. He seems to get overwhelmed by him. And I don't... Is this going to be a problem throughout his career? Like, does he have the power to?
We'll see. I've not specifically noticed that much, to be honest. I think he's a quality player.
I think he's a quality, and his technique is like second to none. Yeah. I'm just a little bit worried about whether he's going to be able to ever compete with the likes of the big boys. That's all.
Yeah, but it's a tricky one.
Because I haven't seen him ever really. Well, unless I'm missing out on someone who's played.
A good benchmark actually on this discussion is Berrettini. I've watched him. I think he's played him last year 2 or 3 times. Yeah. Each time didn't really come close to beating him.
No.
And you'd be thinking
Krajinovic on this type.
That's a good level, yeah, or
Krajinovic. Because Krajinovic...
He's been playing really well, though, Krajinovic.
He's been playing well.
He's in really good form. And he's reached the semi-final and semi-final back-to-back now.
Yeah. I don't doubt that he's like an amazing player.
Both times going to get out to Monfils.
I know.
They must hate him.
But sometimes you just have that type of player when you play against them, you can't get past them.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's what I mean with this Rublev debate. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see him beating really, really big hitters. I feel like he gets lost in the rally a little bit.
I think maybe.
One big shot from one of those guys.
I don't know. I feel like it was still really quite close, that Krajinovic match, right? He didn't just batter him. I think it was close. I think on another day it can go a different way. I don't think we can rule Rublev. He's just literally won 2 ATP titles this year.
Well, exactly, yeah, exactly.
And he's beaten some good players along the way as well. So we'll see how it goes. I think he's on his career high as well. There's a few players actually. It's been quite nice to see some of the young players sort of going up the rankings quite a bit. Obviously, Felix has done It's done amazing for him. Monfils is getting closer and closer to like the top 5, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's good to see like the rankings. Like people are really pushing their way through it, and some younger players in there. Some of the older players are falling down a bit, which we want to see, right, for the evolution of tennis.
Yeah, brings me on to another event which I was watching, ATP New York.
Okay.
We had a successful GB win.
Yeah, I know, incredible.
Go on, Kyle.
Well done, Edmund.
Team GB.
And it's not Murray.
No, it's not Murray. No.
So yeah, no,
not Evans.
He played well, didn't he?
He's back,
Edmund,
isn't he?
Yeah.
He's back.
So that's his second ATP title now.
Sort of getting a bit of revenge for me against Seppi, I think. It's been killing my bets.
You've watched a lot of Edmund, right, then, over the last week?
Yeah, I think he's back to his playing best. Anyway, it's hard to tell against this standard of sort of opposition.
He didn't play anyone specifically like great, did he? I think he beat one of the most impressive ones. Was it Nishioka he beat?
I think it was Kwon Soon. Yeah. But no, he had a really good tournament. Kekmanovic, I thought, was really impressive because I thought Kekmanovic was actually playing really well.
He was playing well up until that point, and he just demolished him, didn't he? I think he won 6-1,
6-4. Yeah, and only dropped one set in the whole event. And that was to Kwon Soon, who was your tip to win.
Yeah, it was Kwon Soon took a set off him, did he?
Yeah,
it was the first set, wasn't it? And then he come back. Yeah,
yes.
That's what I'm saying. Kwon Soon's a quality player, so for him to he played some good players, but like they're not on the level of like the Rotterdam tournament. Like the Rotterdam tournament was just like a bit more of elite.
Yeah.
I think we like discard the fact that Medvedev entered that tournament.
Yes.
I think Tsitsipas was in that
Medvedev
tournament.
went out first round.
That's what I'm saying. So there was a lot of good players.
Pospisil.
So that's why I need to be careful in my sort of Felix argument. I don't want to like take anything away from him. He has done incredible. Like to be reaching that final, there's no hard feelings in losing that final.
No.
To get there was an incredible achievement, and clearly he's shown some brilliant tennis to get there. So I'm super proud of the boy. But when I'm talking about that next level, is he going to be in that same category as them in the Grand Slams? I don't see it at the moment.
Okay. Somebody else who sort of drew the eye from New York, which was I think it was a qualifier, made his way through all the way to the semi-finals. Jason Jung.
Jason Jung, yeah.
Yeah, he had a storming tournament. He managed to knock out Opelka, Anderson, and Norrie in one tournament.
Yeah, the big servers don't faze him, do they? He used to get some lessons with what's his name, Rublev.
Yeah. He came up against Seppi. And obviously, he came up against someone a lot smaller and probably a little bit more seasoned on the...
Yeah, Seppi's been around,
But Seppi hadn't won a semi-final in an ATP event since 2015, so I think he had this monkey on his back he was trying to shrug off as well. So
Jason Jung, though, he's a good player, but he's not in that level like with the ones we've been talking. I think he's played an extremely great tournament. It's been brilliant for him. I'm sure it'll do the world of good for his bank account as well.
Oh, for sure.
But like in terms of like as a top player, Jason Jung, not in the discussion for me.
No.
Good player at the level he plays at, but ATP level, I don't see him really. This is one of the best he's done. Like, it's promising.
For sure.
I'll keep my eye on him in future because of the way he's played in this tournament.
Well, we knew about him. We just didn't really see him as an ATP type player. We had him as a really good challenger player.
Yeah, for sure.
But now he's proved he can beat some really good players.
But, impressive for him.
But that match against Seppi, maybe
how old is he, Jason?
Maybe the nerves just got a bit the better of him, I think.
Jason, he's not exactly a young player.
No, he's no spring chicken, but
he's playing well at the moment. So
he's
good on him.
Very, very good tournament from him, but just came up short against Seppi. Just didn't really turn up. Seppi broke early in both sets, and he was hitting too many in the net. I think just the occasion got to him a little bit.
For sure, yeah.
Seppi just had a good tournament, really.
Yeah.
I didn't really see him beating Edmund, but
Edmund had a good little route, really. Thinking about it, he had them tricky ones against Kwon Soon and Kecmanovic, but the final, I felt like. I just didn't see him ever losing that.
Should
really
be your toughest one. It was probably the easiest one for him.
Yeah. No disrespect. Seppi's obviously a quality player. Got to the final. He beat some good players along the way. But I just fancied Edmund to in that match there. I just always saw Edmund winning.
Speaking about
big up the GB.
Yeah, come on, Edmund. It's ready for the French. Speaking of paths through to the final, very interesting routes to the final in Buenos Aires.
Yeah, I was hoping you was going to say that.
Yeah, there was the final between Pedro Sousa and
Casper
Ruud, who, if I recall, last week somebody tipped him to win the tournament.
Yeah, it was a good tip, mate. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. But then I had a look at both of the sides of the draw, and it looked like Casper Ruud was playing in an ATP event, and Pedro Sousa was playing in a Challenger event.
Pedro Sousa was very, very fortunate. Like, I feel like the first round he lost, right? And then he got a lucky loser spot. And then in the semis, he was supposed to be playing Schwartzman, who's just literally gave his all on court. Yeah, my tip. He gave his all on court.
Oh, it was amazing.
Managed to win that match. Injured. Like I said, what did I say? He will breeze to the semi-finals.
And he won he won the quarter-final when he was injured.
Yeah, he just hardly walk. He couldn't walk.
Yeah, still won.
That was against Pablo Cuevas, was it?
Cuevas, yeah.
Yeah, so he beat Cuevas in the quarter-final. A brilliant match, by the way. Like, he needs to get a mention. It went into the early hours. It was I think it was over 3 hours of match time, maybe longer even.
Yeah.
And it was a real slug on court. Like, there was a period where Cuevas was playing extremely good tennis. Schwartzman dug in, was able to keep in the match, and just about he saved 5 match points.
Wow.
Schwartzman. And he just showed so much resilience. The last two or three games of the final set,
yeah,
he was up in the final set. He was up 4-1, and then he got pegged back to 4-0, and then it was just like really close, and he just managed to show just his hitting from without moving, because the guy was just completely injured, could not hardly move around the court.
Yeah,
and the whole crowd was getting up. The atmosphere looked incredible.
Well,
it was like back in the day, one of the Delpo matches.
Yeah,
the Argentinians.
Yeah,
they was going nuts. They was loving him.
He was their man.
And yeah, so it was really cool to see.
It was interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to see in the same sort of weekend or in the same week I think there was somebody else also playing whilst injured as well. Like these people playing whilst with cramp and still. I think it was Vasek Pospisil. I think.
Yeah,
I think he was playing, but still hitting winners after winners. With cramp.
It does happen though. Like these top players, like they're able to do that. But it's to win it. I think Pospisil lost that match, didn't he?
Yeah,
he was unable to win.
The opponent finally worked out just to have to play drop shot. He didn't
Schwartzman, incredible story there to do what he did. However, luckily for Pedro Sousa, he managed to get to the final.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is actually a repeat of a final. I think it must have been in the Challenger final. Pedro Sousa, Casper Ruud 2 years prior. And which Pedro Sousa won. So sweet revenge for Casper Ruud.
And he's on everybody's radar now.
Yeah.
If he wasn't before, he is now.
And a brilliant thing for him as well, he's just surpassed his dad's record.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So he's now a higher ranking than his dad.
He's now 34 in the...
His dad never reached them heights. So he's got, I think he had, I forget his quote now, but he had a funny quote for his dad, like just saying about how, oh yeah, I've managed to do it, mate, Dad. It's quite funny.
Should we quickly have a look at the WTA as well? Because there was a couple of mentions that we should have had.
Yeah.
I thought it was something that was quite interesting. I watched the match between Sakkari and Belinda Bencic.
Yeah.
And Sakkari...
Bencic's first seed, I think, for the match.
Yeah,
for the tournament.
She took the first set as well. But Sakkari, she's a bit of a... Yeah, she's a fighter on the court. And I thought it was quite interesting to see the tactics employed. She called over her trainer at some point.
Mm.
And I think she has British trainers as well, based upon the accent. And they were just literally saying, you're not playing your best tennis today. It's quite clear. Don't get mad at yourself if you miss a point. If you're going to hit it in the net, don't worry, just go to the next point. If you start getting really mad at yourself, you're just going to throw this match away. Yeah. You see her down the other end when she loses a point, she's throwing her racket down, she's having a tantrum. It seemed to work. All she did was just kept playing each point. She hit one couple in the net, but then Bencic eventually...
Did you watch all the match?
Yeah, she eventually beat herself, I think. And Sakkari is just getting it back. Obviously, some with a bit more power. She has a lot of power.
Yeah.
But great coaching.
Yeah,
she didn't have her best game, but she managed to duck it out.
Sometimes it's like that.
Was that fair play?
Hats off to her.
There was the other WTA match, which was over in Hua Hin, which was in Thailand, and there was an outstanding.
I'm killing the build-up altogether.
Yeah, there was an outstanding.
The Kung.
Yeah, there was an outstanding player, a young player from Switzerland who made it all the way through to the final.
What's her name?
Kung. Apparently. But she came up against. Well, I think we need to have one little mention. The Tig made it all the way through to the semis, but unfortunately, threw away a break-up lead in the first and then got battered in the second.
No, she was serving for the set in the first.
Yeah, she
ended
threw
up
the
losing
breakaway.
that one.
I know, I was
and
watching
then lost
it.
the next set as well. Honestly,
Tig, what was she
ridiculous.
doing?
She's always got that in her.
I know. Well, we still support you, Tig.
But the Kung,
But the Kung, yeah, what an incredible tournament she had. She managed to go through Wang, Hibino, and Zhu. Yeah. So and then met Lynette in the final. Admittedly,
a lot of people will be watching. They're like, "Who is this girl?" Like, there's a lot of, even yourself. I'm not sure if you know. Like,
19 years old.
She's a young player, but she's got. She's quite well known in the tennis world even now. Like, she come through.
Yeah.
I think she got to the final of Wimbledon as a young Wimbledon player.
Yeah.
I think it was 2018. I'm not sure exactly, but she's a very good player. So it's nice to see that, like, she's finally getting her chance in some of these tournaments, and
Well, she's in the
she's
final.
definitely able to show like how good she's
Got to the
how good
final
she
of
is.
one, probably not the. It's still quite a high standard. She hasn't met any world beaters yet.
But I think to beat Wang was the most impressive
Yeah,
one.
for
Right?
sure.
No one really saw that happening.
I didn't know. Well, that's my
So
tip.
it's pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah. She's definitely on my radar now because she wasn't before.
Yeah.
So Leonie Kung, keep an eye out for her in some upcoming events.
Yeah, for sure.
Should we move away to a little bit of had a interesting couple of fan questions
Yeah, go for it.
that came in. A guy called Mitrovic Slobodan. Sorry if the pronunciation is not the best. He's asked if you'd make a Hollywood film of the big three, who would you want to see playing Federer, Djokovic, and Rafa, and potentially the side roles like Stan Wawrinka, Murray, and Del Potro, etc. So I love this question.
That's a great question.
I think this is one of the best questions we've had so far.
I want to do the Dow straight off the bat.
Have
you got one for the Dow?
I was going to say Federer. I saw as like Antonio Banderas.
All right.
I'm getting a little bit of the the long hair.
Yeah,
Maybe
he's got the hair.
he's got that like sort of cool like vibe going on. I reckon there's a bit of mystery in there. I think he'd be a good Federer.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking, he's a bit Spanish as well, so he could probably play him and him playing Nadal as well. We have to play a double.
I don't feel like the Nadal one has to be a Spanish guy. I feel like they could
Okay.
just impersonate him just the best and just be able to do his mannerisms.
Go on,
and
then.
for me, because of his like so OCD with everything, I feel like you've got to have Jim Carrey as Rafa Nadal. Him in the Grinch, like the way he acts, like
Jim Carrey is Nadal.
I can just see it just being incredible. Like it'd just be the best ever sort of act.
Oh my god! I've paid as good money to see this movie.
No, it'd be brilliant because you know he's got like them dimples as well, like the smile. He'd be able to take it all off perfectly, and I feel like he'd be the best person to take off Nadal.
Who do you think for Djokovic?
For Djokovic, he's the guy. He's another comedian kind of actor.
The Joker.
No, no, not him. You're not gonna. I forget his name. What's his name? It's the guy of Happy Gilmore.
Oh, what? Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler.
Yes.
Adam Sandler for
Sandler
Djokovic.
plays Djokovic.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
I'd like to see him doing a Serbian
They're a bit
accent.
similar looking-ish.
Yeah,
Not
sort of.
really.
We've got sort of similar hairstyle.
Yeah.
I think that's a good selection.
That's not a bad one, right?
Who are we having for Murray? I think he'd probably like someone Scottish, so probably Gerard Butler. Have to play Andy Murray.
Oh no, what's the guy from School of Rock?
Jack Black.
Jack Black!
He could play Stan Wawrinka.
Yeah, he's a bit chubby, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
So-
but Murray's not been playing, mate.
Nah.
We probably could have put on some weight. Sitting at home, we had a busy Christmas.
maybe.
All them tangerines from his mum.
Yeah, so interesting questions. Anyway,
Yeah, no, thanks for the question.
I like that one.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Yeah,
I feel like we're going to have to leave it there. We had a lot more to talk about, but we've run out of time.
maybe we'll try and get another one out later in the week.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, there's a lot of ATP events going on this week again. Some
Carlos Garcia, I've not forgotten about you. We're going to talk about you next week.
That's
We've got
it.
a lot to talk about.
Alcaraz.
Alcaraz, the man.
Yeah, so young upcoming prospect. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe more on him in the next pod.
Yeah,
For
so
sure.
thanks for listening. Let us know, do you think Djokovic is going to be unbeaten? Do you think Felix is going to reach the heights? What do you think of everything else we've spoke about? And I guess we'll just see you next time.
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave comments, and yeah, see you then.
And share it. Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.